Welcome everyone. My name is Dan Ray and I am a recent Microsoft MVP and a 22-year Microsoft certified trainer. I'm joined by Matthew. Matthew, do you want to say a couple words here?
Hi guys, my name's Matthew. I'm a MCT and Microsoft MCE and recently nominated for an MVP. So I'm looking forward to sharing my insights on people you should know on Azure.
And from my background, you can see that I am not in Chicago, but I am close to Chicago, and it is about 2 a.m. here. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. This is a presentation we put together, and I've given it a couple times by myself, just on the Microsoft Teams perspective of people you should know, but Matthew was kind enough to assist and put together some of the Microsoft Azure people that you should know as well. Matthew, do you want to introduce these folks? Or
Yeah, absolutely. So on the top of the slide, I've included all the Irish MVPs in Azure. Ireland is a very small country and we've a limited number of them. So these are some of the people that have kind of influenced me over the years. One being Alan Cannan, who was a recent MVP. He focuses on Azure. We have in there a few others on the top. Most of the Irish MVPs have at least been awarded once or twice. We can see there's a few in there that have 11 or 14 nominations. Aidan Finn, second from the right, he worked in Micro Warehouse for a period of time. I've worked with Micro Warehouse for years from a technical and support side of things in Azure. Underneath, I've included some of the UK people. Some of these have been awarded MVP status recently. On the right, on the left we have Thomas in there. He's been awarded an MVP status in Azure. And then we have a few others there. One of the girls there were recent. Third from the right, she was awarded recently this year in the UK, and I've kind of been following all their stuff. Dan, do you want to move on to the next one?
Sure.
Perfect. Okay, so in here we have more of the kind of well-known people in the UK that were awarded MVP status for Azure. As you can see, there are far more Azure people that were awarded the MVP status in the UK. All of these are people I have followed on LinkedIn, I've communicated with, I've gotten to know them, I've reached out to them. All very important people if you're trying to make your way in the Azure world. I think, Dan, you'd agree, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Just used the mvp.microsoft.com and then looked for either the award category or the country. Is that how you came up with these?
Yeah, that's how I came up with them. And in the last few months, I've recently connected with most of these people on LinkedIn to see the kind of content they're putting up. A lot of them are putting up guides on exams and stuff. So that's kind of very helpful if you're studying your security and compliance in Azure and stuff. So all very positive. A lot of these people are most of them, if not all of them, are very approachable. They're very nice. They will offer to help you in any way they can. So yeah, absolutely worth taking a look at the MVP webpage and putting in UK and Ireland. I've also included on the next slide some of my favorite US people, United States. So one of them in here is Diego, and I do believe Diego was presenting a session on this today. He's there on the bottom right. I've reached out to Diego, and he's very helpful, very friendly. We've worked on the Microsoft Central queries, questions and answers. As you can gather, there's not a lot of girls in the MVP award, so I've included one of the girls from the US. She's been awarded 5 times in the Azure category. So that's great to see. Women in tech is really important. So lots of people in the UK, Ireland, and US. This is only a flavor of some of the people I follow. Again, go to the MVP website, type in the Azure category, look up your country of preference, and you'll find plenty of MVPs in those award categories. And these are all people that have influenced me in my Azure certification and training. So hats off to every single one of these talented people.
Yeah, this was helpful. Thank you for putting this together. I pulled just a couple others, Matthew, that either you had introduced me to or that thought might be worthwhile to highlight here. Frank was on a couple of our calls, and typically what I've done with my slides is linked to the individual's LinkedIn page. So you can actually click on the slides when we make these available and get to their LinkedIn profile. And Carl just posted something recently from Ireland. He's not an MVP, but he's very involved in the Azure community. So another person that you can get to just by clicking on. And then finally, Mark Rusinovich, the Chief Technology Officer at Microsoft for Microsoft Azure. And if you're not familiar with Mark, he does a lot of the data center updates at Microsoft Ignite, and just a terrific speaker, probably 6'6" or 6'7", and you can't miss him when he's presenting. Excellent presenter in person or virtual these days. So the other thing that I did with this version of our PowerPoint is, and we'll make this available, I'm still trying to figure out exactly where we'll make this available, is I put it into categories. So we had 6 slides in the first section, and then in the Microsofties section, I put together a number of new folks. We heard this morning for our keynote from Hamad, and Nicole has been active on LinkedIn as well as the tech community and other locations. From a Teams anniversary perspective, Teams has turned 5 and is now a preschooler and is the fastest growing Microsoft application. So we have her as well as somebody new. And then I went through a couple other places on LinkedIn, either just searching for keywords like Teams or looking for people that might be connected to other people that I know. So I came up with Seth Patton recently this evening and added him to our slides. And then there's a couple people that aren't necessarily Teams focused at Microsoft, but I came across because of the work they're doing in conjunction with Teams and other Microsoft applications. So Raleigh, I believe, is how it's pronounced, Rolly or Raleigh. I haven't met in person, but I have seen her blog posts about a new feature in PowerPoint, which is called Cameo. And I believe Cameo is still in the betas of PowerPoint for the PC. It'll be coming to the Mac version very soon. And what this allows you to do, similar to what I'm doing with Teams and having Teams provide a video feed into the meeting here, I can actually bring PowerPoint and use live video within PowerPoint and get creative about the location of that video in PowerPoint. So like others, I can click on the picture, go to the profile, go down to take a look at time to build the next generation of presentations post. And here's an example of what Cameo looks like when you use that live video, and you can put it in a circle or you can put it in different types of borders, and then control the effects of the camera. And this is a live video feed while you're in PowerPoint, as opposed to only having to use Teams for your video feed. So yet another person that you should know if you're interested in, especially the intersection between PowerPoint and Microsoft Teams. I added a couple other people like Sean. Sean is somebody that I came across on LinkedIn. Noticed that he was also talking about Cameo and the recent Office Insiders builds. He has a daughter that is leveraging Cameo, so she is one of his testers and giving feedback on how she likes Cameo. And Cameo and the video capabilities can also be embedded with PowerPoint features like Morph. So his daughter had a video where she was talking about Girl Scout cookies that she was selling, and as she moved through her slideshow, she could move her video around the screen in the placement. If you've ever used PowerPoint's video in the past, when you were recording the video, it always showed up in the lower right. And if you pre-recorded the video, then you could move the video element around the screen. But with Cameo, you'll have the ability to actually move the video element. Maybe in this slide, I don't want it in the bottom right because it's covering up some of the website information. The bottom left is giving me my slide number and the date. And at the top left, I've got the person's name. Maybe on the next slide, I've got information in the upper right that is critical. So with that, you can move the elements around the screen and use transitions like Morph for that. So we can see that I've got quite a bit of people in these slides. We're only on slide 13. And let's see if we've got folks here in the audience. Or any questions? Looks like we're good there. Matthew, favorite number between 1 and 100?
I'm going to have to say 50.
50, excellent.
Can I say my favorite number?
What was that?
It's 33.
33. This is a little known PowerPoint trick that I learned at some point from a trainer. If I hit 33 and enter, I'm now on slide 33. And if I hit 50 and enter, I'm now on slide 50. So over the first 100 people that I have in the slide deck all work for Microsoft and may have come from the Rochester Institute of Technology, or have school information available on their profile. Rochester Institute of Technology, probably 5 years ago, posted something that's come to PowerPoint, but is also using Azure as a service, and that is a web project with Microsoft Research to assist you with public speaking and presentation skills. Instead of having to have events like this, where I get to practice speaking and smiling and vocal variety and other types of opportunities, you can use a website, ROC Speaks, and you can actually practice up to a 2-minute video. You can get your own feedback, or you can even send it to other people to give you real feedback from real people as opposed to just computer generated. And it uses the Azure Cognitive Services to do that. PowerPoint has its own presentation coach, that was modeled off of very similar AI, artificial intelligence capabilities. But these are just some of our folks that we have in the deck, and in most of the templates, which I must not have been using on slide 33 because we don't see the slide number there. I might be able to fix that by changing my layout here. Let's see if it's the layout or something else in the slide that was causing it. Some confusion with putting that information at the bottom. Yeah, some of these I used a different layout on, and I'm not sure if it's the layout that's causing the difference without the slide number in the bottom, but you can see a number of these different folks. Some had the dark mode background when I pulled their snippet from LinkedIn. So Michelle Gilbert is somebody that I worked with at the Minnesota Microsoft 365 user group and spoke this past fall there. So when you get this PowerPoint, you'll have over 300 at this point folks that you can potentially connect with in the Microsoft community.
Betsy Weber is probably one of the best MVPs that I've ever messaged and spoken to. She's really interesting. So that's another good one to look at.
Yeah, so Betsy is one of, I think we figured out 14 community managers. So Betsy works at Microsoft and manages the MVP awardees. And so I met Betsy probably 4 years ago at Microsoft Ignite in Orlando, Florida. And Betsy is slide number 43 in this presentation. So you can get to her slide by hitting 43 enter, and then you can get to her profile by clicking on the picture. And you can see that she's in East Lansing, Michigan. You can see that I'm connected to her on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn has also added a notification bell now fairly recently, so that if some of these people are producing content or they're folks that you want to be not only connected with, either by following or connecting with, you can now also get alerts when they post, which is super helpful if you're trying to keep in touch and maybe support the content that folks are putting out. Any other favorite numbers between 100 and 200? You can go into the MVP category that way. I'll pick one.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, we both went at the same time.
Feel free if there's anybody else, throw it in the chat too. What was that?
153 from my side.
153. There you go. This puts us, I believe, into the MVP category. And so I pulled a number of people. These are all new to this particular presentation. So 153 was Ram, and from India. And I don't remember how I came across his profile. It was probably from the MVP side, looking at, I started in Pakistan and there were 6 MVPs. They were all awarded, I believe, in the developer category. And then I started looking at surrounding areas to see where I could pull some additional MVPs from. So if I back up here to slide, where are we at? Probably 40. $30 something. There's somebody that might be familiar. I pulled all of these from just profiles that I noticed Zoe is a fairly new MVP as well, put together 5 features and teams that she really liked this past week for the 5th anniversary, and highlighted some just great features in Teams. So if you're not connected with her, another great person to connect with. And even if the person is awarded in Azure or Office or development or a particular technology, that they're not limited to that being their Microsoft either area of knowledge, expertise, interest, that type of thing. So for the MVP, you get awarded in a particular category. There are a few people that have been awarded in multiple categories, but there's probably another, I want to say 50 to 75 MVPs. So 122 through, it's actually 84 different MVPs that I have in slides now.
What we might bring up, actually, Dan, I didn't include it if you're able to get to the website there quickly. Another MVP, he's not necessarily in Azure. His name is Morris Daly. He's been working with Microsoft products for over 22 years. Both myself and Morris have spoken on many occasions. Because he's not an Azure MVP, I hadn't included him. So that's MAURIC.
URSE?
MAURICE.
MAUR.
Yeah, Morris.
There we go.
So Morris is actually Morris Daly is actually one of those MVPs who are pretty inspiring in Ireland and the UK. He's well known. He started out in IT back in 1999, so he's been in the game quite a long time. While he's not an Azure MVP, he's more of a Windows for IT and Intune MVP. He covers extensively a lot of Microsoft, I suppose, technical jargon on his own website, MST Endpoints. He works with another guy, and it's really interesting to see how Intune kind of plays into Azure in a way, because they're kind of part and parcel together for some of the stuff. I mean, you still use Azure security groups and distribution lists and stuff. So Morris Daly is what I would consider one of probably the most excellent people in the MVP program, regardless of the fact that he's in Windows for IT category. I actually would have put him in Azure as well. Another person that I did include was Sakaldeep Yadav. I think I'm pronouncing that right. That's SAKALDEEP.
L.
So Sakaldeep. What's really interesting here is he focuses completely on Azure. He's actually based in the same city as myself. So Ireland's a pretty small place in terms of we don't do states, we do counties. So he's based in County Limerick. He puts up some really interesting stuff. He runs the Nepal group. He runs a Limerick coding group and stuff. He was nominated 4 times. As I said, he's based in Limerick. He focuses on a lot of the threat, cloud, governance, and networking sides of Azure. His stuff is really interesting, and he is another person. He's another person I would consider to be really, really good at Azure. He knows his stuff. Highly certified in all things Azure. These are the kind of people I suppose you want to kind of be looking at and reading up about and connecting with, because these are the people that, as you can see, have gone through the MVP program. They've been nominated more than once. They know their stuff, and that's it. And that's what you want. Another person in there would have been Alan Canaan. He's a recent Irish MVP. Alan is absolutely fantastic, is the only word for him. He, K-I,
Is it
K-I-N-A-N. So if you filter by Azure in Ireland, he should come up quicker. There we go. Yeah, Alan Canan. So Alan's a recent MVP. He was awarded in 2022. He is absolutely fantastic. In terms of, he does a lot of blog posting on Azure, the well-tempered tenant. I think at this stage he has about 6 or 7 posts up on his own website, azureisland.ie. He has been an MCP trainer since 2019. He focuses on everything Azure. He works for a company called Micro Warehouse out in Dublin. Another person I've kind of been following over the last number of years. We're friends on LinkedIn. He has some good quality stuff up there. His blog posts are interesting. He goes through things step by step. Just look, 3 fantastic examples of Irish MVPs who have literally kind of, stormed the MVP website. They've gotten their names up there. They're really, really interesting people. If you're not friends with them, I'd suggest getting in contact with them on LinkedIn. They're very open. They like to help. They're good with being part of groups and stuff. Joe Gill, he's in business applications. He's another great one. If we scroll down and we look at Aidan Finn, as I mentioned earlier, he is in the Azure category. He's brilliant. Andrew Pusky, another great MVP there in Ireland. What's his name? Emery Martin. Lovely, lovely fella. Spoken to him a good few times now at this stage. Really open to helping you and, getting involved, seeing what he can do for you. I think Sean McAvenue, another great MVP. I mean, most of these people that are on the Irish MVP side of things, they've all specialised in Azure, Office 365, business applications. A lot of the people here that are MVPs, I've had the pleasure to work with some of them over the last few years. Just all great talent from Ireland. It's great to see it. It's such a small country. We don't have enough MVPs. So yeah, check out the Irish MVP side of things. Also have a look at the UK MVP side of things. Some great people in the UK that you could reach out to. Every single person is really approachable. I think the hardest part about aspiring to be an MVP or getting nominated is kind of getting yourself out there. And I can tell you for a fact that every single one of these people are out to help. They're out to get you into the communities, whatever you need, they'll do it. They'll give you a hand. If you want to host an event with them, they'll offer to help. If you want to join a new group, they'll get you involved. Every single one of them. Carol Cook is an excellent example of someone who is he's not an MVP, I don't think. Would I be right, Dan?
I don't. The name's not familiar to me, but
you had him in the slides earlier. Carol Cook. He's Limerick based.
Yeah, Carl's not an MVP, but came across him on Twitter as well as on LinkedIn. So that's the other thing. Some of these folks have. So if I put in like Pakistan and India, I've got 108 results from the MVP side. If you do this on LinkedIn or Twitter for that matter, Twitter, some of the MVPs only have their Twitter listed as opposed to LinkedIn. Some have Facebook and other sites, websites, GitHub, that type of thing. So great to use this mvp.microsoft.com. if you're looking specifically for MVPs. Even more helpful to use other social media if you're just looking for community-focused people that run groups, user groups, speak at events, that type of thing.
I know there's an MVP. I'm not sure is it India or Pakistan. I'm sure I'll be corrected, but his name is Deepak, and he's really worth taking a look at on LinkedIn. He has some great stuff up. I think he was a Microsoft employee at one stage, but some great stuff up. So it just goes to show Ireland, the UK, the US, India, Pakistan, worldwide, some great MVP people out there who have been nominated but not awarded, some who have been awarded, some who are aspiring to be awarded. Some great, just look, the talent is there, the people are there. Reach out, show your support to people, help get involved in the communities. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Nobody ever got laughed at for asking a question. So just go out there, be open-minded. Some of the people I've spoken to on LinkedIn that aren't MVPs but are in India and Pakistan, some of those people are really, really nice, really helpful. I actually worked with a guy that had left Microsoft recently over the phone for my job, and he was, I think he was in India, and he said it's just, you know, it's such a different world over there, and he said technology is growing rapidly. Yeah, and he was so friendly, so nice, so informative would have been the word. Truly and honestly, the people over in India and Pakistan, they're so talented. If we could only have half of those people over in Ireland, it'd be amazing, you know. So.
Well, that's the nice thing about that's the positive from my perspective on what we've dealt with in the last 2 years. It's really opened up a lot of different speaking engagement opportunities that may have not presented themselves, or you may not have thought about in the past, like this. I haven't been to Pakistan. I've been to Ireland twice in my life, and I've been to the UK twice in my life, but haven't made it to India or anywhere further west. Those are hopefully to-dos for coming up here in the next few years, but it'll be nice to get back to in person.
How about Australia or New Zealand?
I've been to New Zealand, I believe. We went to a number of countries last year, starting with Amsterdam. We did like a whole cruise and hit a bunch of different countries. New Zealand might not have been on it, but Australia I haven't been to either. Africa, I haven't been to that continent. I've been to South Korea. That's I think the furthest flight I've ever taken. And I was only there once, 2 or 3 days doing Microsoft training. Rosemary Mccracken is somebody I met on LinkedIn. She does Microsoft training. I don't remember if she's an MCT, but she certainly has her Microsoft Office applications and knowledge in that area. So we've met. 206 is where the people that aren't necessarily MVPs, they're not Microsoft employees, but they're very involved in the community. Eric Davis and I worked together. He is with Advent Health in Florida and does a lot with Teams training for them, different aspects of Microsoft 365. And then Emily Doyle is somebody that I met in the Chicagoland area. She worked at the Microsoft store, retail store, and is now doing project management, and just recently let me know that she's leading a migration to Teams for the company she's working for. So lots of different people. Many are new to this version of the people you should know. So there's over 300 slides from the 2021 fall. This has numerous additions and brand new additions in the Azure space, And then in the team space, there are a number of people like Mark Steele that I worked with, and now does sales and public speaking skills training for leaders in Microsoft and other technologies, video editing and video production, that type of thing as well. And he's a published author as well.
Some really interesting stuff on his side of things, actually. Yeah, would have to agree.
I've had some interesting complications this evening trying to publish this. The guidance from LinkedIn is your published document has to be under 300 pages. So this, I brought it down to 300 pages, and then I tried 290 something pages, and I even tried 100 pages just to see if it was the size, because I've published 300 pages in the past. It has to be under 100 megabytes. So the PowerPoint is already around 200 megabytes, but when you save it as a PDF, it's around 60 megabytes. And for whatever reason this evening, sometimes on the weekends, I've had issues with LinkedIn. It just won't upload for some reason. So I'll try it again Monday, and this will be available. Any other favorite numbers in the 200 or 200 and above range?
200 and above as well?
Yeah.
Like till what far, till what number you have?
Right around 300, like 290 something.
Okay. So I'll give it a shot. So
sure.
233.
233. Noah Sparks. Noah used to work with me at Brainstorm in American Fork, Utah, and somewhat recently joined Planet Technologies. And Noah was a Yammer MVP at one point. So he was awarded, I think that's still the Office Apps and Services when you get to the category. But I believe at one point they used to have award categories for products. Now they have award categories that are above the products. So you have contributions in certain areas, but you get awarded in a category. Like Azure is a category, and I think AI is a category.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily get into the details about, are you focused on security or data compliance or data storage. But there are several different categories for MVPs, and then you get awarded, like I said, in either one or sometimes multiple categories. So Noah's a great resource and somebody that I'd met in person.
What I would say actually, Dan, and I think it's really interesting. So myself and Dan actually didn't work in the same categories in terms of Dan was Microsoft Teams and Office 365, and I was Azure. So we developed a relationship because we loved Microsoft products. We loved engaging with others. Just for the folks on the call that aren't very comfortable with engaging with other people or who are worried, I would say get involved in nearly as many aspects of Microsoft as a whole, in terms of Office 365, apps, Teams, SharePoint. I know Yammer's gone at this stage in terms of it's not highly focused on. Maybe I might be wrong. I'll be careful on that. Yeah, get involved in all the different products that Microsoft have. Reach out to people. If you're on LinkedIn and I'm not friends with you, add me. Absolutely. Myself and Dan are always looking at speaking with other people that have different areas of interest. So yeah, just on that note, Dan, sorry.
That's a great point. I don't think I put our slides in here other than the intro slide, and I don't think I hyperlinked to our profiles, but I figured hopefully people will find those through the through the app or the sessions, that type of thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we'll go 77 then. Give us 77.
77. There we go. So that should be a Microsoft person. Not somebody that I've ever met, but when I searched for Microsoft Teams and then searched for people that worked at Microsoft, I found a number of people that were in the Microsoft product group and have different titles. With LinkedIn, one of the nice things is you can see who your mutual connections are. So if I find somebody that I have absolutely no connections with and they work for Microsoft, that to me is an opportunity to maybe strengthen different connections at Microsoft. Even if there's 5, that's a small number of mutual connections for me. And so you can see that we're not connected, we're second-degree connections. But if I'm following now, this must have been a screenshot before the notification bell. I can actually get notified when somebody posts if I see in their feed that they're maybe posting about Teams or new features that are coming, that type of thing. So that's 77.
I think it would be worth just while we're here, Dan, if we go to the MVP website, actually, there is one more person I think is worth bringing up. Look, they're all worth bringing up, but unfortunately we can't bring them all up. His name is, sorry now, I had it up here, ASFEND. I'm sure I will be corrected on how to pronounce this.
A-N-D?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, ASFEND.
E-N-D.
Yeah, sorry.
There we go.
So this is actually an MVP based in Pakistan. Seeing as it is the Pakistan event, so I thought it was worth bringing him up. He has put up some really interesting stuff. I've kind of followed him for a while before this event. If you're not friends with him on LinkedIn and you're based in Pakistan, the UK or Ireland, it's worth getting in contact with him.
Right.
He's just interesting. He authors a few things. He has a few books and stuff. Some really interesting stuff out there. He's not necessarily in my area of technology, but he's interesting. I'm sure the lads here would be able to elaborate more.
Yeah, there's some great resources out here for certain.
Yeah.
Here's the award categories that you can be awarded in or search on. So there's what is that? Open source, artificial intelligence, business applications, business solutions, cloud and data center management, data platform, developer technologies. I believe all 6 of the Pakistani MVPs were awarded in developer technologies, so one particular category.
Would we bring those up there, Dan, for a sec?
Yeah, we could.
Developer and do Pakistan.
I think Adnan is an Office 365 MVP.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, there's 6 total. There you go.
Yeah,
that would explain why I like some of his stuff.
So we have like Asma. She had her session today, and Bilal. I think he will be speaking up. Bilal Shazad. Yeah,
excellent.
And then Adnan, we have this. Yep, and she's quite active as well. Asma.
Yeah.
Have you searched about me? Have you searched about me?
Definitely.
I'm a bit curious. I'm just listening to you. I'm just trying to see like when you will say like, yeah, I searched about you and you have done such a good stuff.
Oh dear, Dad, we've let ourselves down.
Shaka, you need to work.
Yeah, I need to contact you, right? I need to send you a message more. I give you more LinkedIn messages that okay, see, just bring it up in your all of your talks future talks as well. Yeah, this is a good guy. Just contact him.
The new section in the MVP, you're 125.
There we go.
Fantastic. Ooh,
Yeah. So
And
we do.
another
We
thing
have
that-
you in there.
Yes,
this is
and
good.
with 300, if you're not in this, this is not a exclusive list. This is a
Okay.
ever-growing list. So
Yep.
the fact that I've had probably, I would say maybe 50 or more are new to this since the last time that I already had 300. There's obviously, there's no way and there's no, from my perspective, point really to
Exactly.
go to the MVP site and pull everybody and make a PowerPoint. It's kind of pointless because I already have the ability to do these kind of searches. I can search for a keyword like teams. And if I'm looking for somebody in the United States, maybe because of proximity, I need them to, travel. I don't think I can do anything within the country, but if I search for teams or even put an award category in, I can get information down to specifics from a region.
And we can see one of Noelle Silver was there a second ago. She's quite interesting. She's an AI MVP, which is really, that's it. That says it all. She got awarded in the AI category, and that's just amazing. Like I don't know many people in the AI category, so hats off to her.
Yeah, she's a go-getter, and I believe Florida based. So the contact information that the awardee chooses to share is provided, so I can get to her LinkedIn easily. See, she's in the Miami, Fort Lauderdale area. I have family down there. She's recently joined IBM. She's ex-Microsoft, ex-Red Hat. I can go down and take a look at where she's been employed. She worked at NPR, as well as Amazon. So a lot of her original AI experience, I believe, started at Amazon. And she's a great resource too. There's just, I can't say enough about how many MVPs I met and then MCTs I met. There are a lot of MCTs that are not MVPs. There are a lot of MVPs that are not MCTs. So, it's not.
I do think, though, on that, then, I think, I don't know if any of the lads here are in Microsoft. I think that if there was ever feedback to go, there should be like a general register for all the MCTs as well that are Microsoft MCTs. I think getting an MCT isn't exactly, I know it's not rocket science, but it does involve a lot of work to keep it up in terms of the training and stuff. And a lot of people like myself now, I'm an MCT, but I'm an MCT because I provide free learning to people. So, MVPs are really important. MCTs are just as important, and maybe down the line as well, MCEs could be another register with Microsoft certified educators, other important people. So, it would be cool if everybody was recognized, that you didn't just search, you couldn't just get MVPs, because there are people that might make an MVP but are current MCTs or MCEs. So that would be something to go back to Microsoft with if there's anyone on the call.
That's something I did with LinkedIn. I just did the searches for like the MIE, the Microsoft Innovative Educator Award, and Twitter especially. It was very easy to find people that had the MIE or MIE expert. And then I started listing them on lists because Twitter has some limitations that LinkedIn doesn't have as quickly. And I found lists to be much more effective than trying to connect or follow everybody that I found on Twitter from a tech perspective.
Yes, yeah. So the bottom line in all of this, Dan, is everybody reach out to us. we're based in Ireland and the US, and we're very open, isn't that right, Dan? We love to get involved in stuff. Yeah.
So the MIE expert list that I have has 437 members on it. And that's something you can get to. Some of the lists that I have, you can get to by the list name. Many of them, you have to use the actual code now to access. But if you go to StillDre/lists, you can see all the lists that I have. All of my Twitter lists are public, and you can see lists that I've been added to as well from other people. But I have an MVP Buzz list that has, I believe, around 1,800 MVPs. I've been creating that for probably 5 years now. That was one of the first lists I created. And then several others: education, Microsoft Teams, Microsoft employees, women in tech, lots of different lists that I try to maintain as much as I can.
Do you have an MCE list in there?
I don't at this point. I don't.
We should do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We should. Yeah.
Yeah. You should think about creating one on yours, and then I can just link to it because you can follow other people's lists.
Okay. So I might start doing that.
Yeah,
I actually
for one for educators.
For all those out there, I actually just did the MC recently over the weekend, so it was really interesting and rewarding actually, because I do try to teach quality content to people in Azure and Office 365.
Yeah, this is one that I came across. So where I was able to find lists, I didn't feel like it was necessary to duplicate the work that others had done, but the TweetMeet, which is Microsoft Education, and their monthly Twitter events, they did chats and backups of everybody that spoke at these events. And so you can get back to a lot of their, teams lists and equity and inclusion, chat. What else do they have here? I think that's primarily it. So instead of having to, this is how I based a lot of my Microsoft MIE expert additions on, was I just found people that spoke at these events that were in the lists. And then based on the members, if I saw MIE expert or showcase school, I knew I could add the person to different lists that I was maintaining, MIE expert and trainer. So that was a trick I used for, starting the list, and then, advertising the list. If you're putting in the work to maintain a list of people, let other people know that you're maintaining it. And if you don't want to maintain it, find somebody else that has one and just follow their list. That's the other option.
Yeah, exactly. So,
absolutely.
Any other questions or comments?
It's a pretty extensive work you guys have done. Like maintaining this 300 list is like, and you have like, it's not even like a kind of listing of MVPs or MCTs. It's just like you have a reference that you have worked with these guys, or you have met these guys, and you have seen these guys on the internet. So there's kind of relevance what you have put up into this list, and it's quite good. Like, and I think you need to refresh this list after for a while, like because they are the new awarded MVPs, and some of the guys who are no more MVPs now. Someone has switched their technologies, not working anymore. So like, yeah, but that's a very good and extensive work you guys have done.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good point. Some of these people have ended up at Microsoft, so I may or may not have those connections or moved them to the appropriate. So what I did with this one, because I was merging it from a previous version to start with, I tried to do some of those categories, like people I've met in person. Some of the Microsoft folks I've never met in person. I haven't had a, even a virtual conversation with. But we met through Twitter, I think, Twitter or LinkedIn. And
another thing, and I want to ask, like, how this, like, during this COVID and the Corona period, how this was all in-person sessions or in-person event, like, how does it work with this virtual one? Like, do they have, like, the people or the organizer, they have the same response as they have, like, in this in-person events or seminars? What's your take? What's your observation on it?
Yeah, great question. I think in the virtual, it's a little different. Did the Sri Lankan MCT event, and that was interesting because it was worldwide like this. So the speakers were from all sorts of different time zones and locations, and some of what they had that I haven't seen you have so far was people that might have gotten the time incorrect, or just had maybe technical issues, who knows. So there was some with the virtual, and you have this in in-person events too. If somebody's
that's right.
there, sometimes you have to move around or figure out what are you doing for that half hour that somebody isn't available for.
True. Yeah. We live in a very different world altogether. Yeah. After this.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I think we don't have any more questions. Yeah, but seriously, it's quite a different session altogether. I wasn't expecting that. It's like you will be discussing this, but it's very informative, and it just gives you a very altogether a different window that, okay, if we wants to meet and if we wants to connect with someone, like these are the people, like you can look into it. And like, as you know, that we also, like, as we have done this event and other user groups, so we used to, like, look for the people who are expert in different technology. Like take an example of mobile development. So in order to go for someone who has literally done on that aspect, so it's quite difficult to approach the person. But you did all the legwork, I would say, for this, like maintaining the list, and it is quite a good quite a good dictionary. Yeah, as far as I can say. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.